Hello and welcome to the race of the Las Vegas Grand Prix here on the All Assists Off League. Thank you very much for joining us and rejoining us, should I say. Apologies for any issues you may have encountered earlier, as we did as well. It's part and parcel of a new game coming out, and so soon after the new game coming out, things getting underway. We have had a little bit of chaos if you are just joining us for the first time as the sprint race took place, and I think safety cars came out and it kind of sent things a little bit all over the place. But we are back and we are hopefully ready now for the race to take place here in Las Vegas, Nevada. Joining me to go through it is Skin. Skin, welcome back. Hopefully for the full race this time.
Yeah, right.
Yes, mate. Are you?
Oh, I'm tired, mate. But we're here, aren't we? Hopefully we get through this without any further issues because classic EA game in the first week or so of release just seems a bit broken at the minute.
Yeah, it's just one of those things, isn't it? And we've got a new debut, I say a new debutant as opposed to you have an old debutant, AMS Johnsy, who sat on pole position. Kind of upset the rhythm of things from what we'd seen at the end of last season as well.
Could have a championship favourite with the bookies based on that. A couple of things that happened which it's hard to really properly commentate on it with the glitching that were happening, but the fact that Sandman and Danger David in 6th and 7th, they were the championship leaders last time, which should make it quite interesting.
Okay, well, we are on the formation lap at the moment. Then it is AMS Johnsy on pole position, joined on the front row by the AlphaTauri of Frankie 1811. The Mercedes RS 0121 in third place. Toxic takes fourth. F1 Martin Hunt takes fifth. Danger David in sixth. VSM Sandman in seventh. Dino Sabo in eighth place. Maverick in ninth. Quincy in 10th. Formula One Farah in 11th. D. Perez in 12th. Sir Ibo in 13th. Peter Caspi in 14th. Racing Wheel in 15th, Trugster in 16th, Skid Solo in 17th, and T-Bran 1 in 18th. So it looks like what it has kept is the end of the sprint race. As chaotic as it may have been, we are ready for the race. Just completing the formation lap with the different strategies amongst everybody, really. We've got some hard, some medium, and some soft tyre strategies. Personally, Skin, what are you going for on this?
Softs for as long as possible, and then hopefully mediums, but I don't know. It's 25 laps into it, so I'm used to you doing 25% with you, not 50%. So probably mediums onto hards. Then I think it's always best to start on the fastest tyre that fits within your strategy, because if you get damage, it obviously changes. You start on mediums, you crash, you're going to go onto hards, and then maybe I would have thought they'd last the race, but maybe jumping onto softs towards the end of the race. But yeah, I'd go mediums as long as possible, and then jump on hards or potentially softs. If again, depending on how long they last, 25 laps should be enough, to be fair.
I know the feeling. I started in Saudi Arabia on soft tyres, and after 6 laps had to box for mediums and tried to get them to last 23 laps. They lasted 22 and then the tyre burst and lost me my points, so I fell out of the points on that one. So would you say it's advantage Sandman then at the moment on the soft tyres in 7th place?
I'm not sure about advantage when you start in 7th, to be honest. I think the position is more of an advantage over tyres and strategy, because especially with what happened in the sprints, anything could happen if it starts glitching and stuff. In 2 laps time it could be chaos, because the game don't want to work for them, so everyone's getting disqualified at the minute, but I'm sure that'll change once it resets. But
yeah, the disqualifications just for parking incorrectly when setting up for the race. Those disqualifications are normally wiped out before the race does get underway. The front 4 then are all on medium tyres, and we're prepared to get things underway as we wait for T-Bran to finish off joining the back of the grid. The only track on calendar that we know of where the pit straight starts, where the cars will start the race, or the grid should I say, will start on a curve. Lights out, and here we go. Jonesy on the front row of the grid, then Toxic jumps straight above RS0121 as we go in towards the first corner. VSM Sama makes a huge jump up into fourth place as Jonesy keeps him to first place. Nearly takes second place from Sandman then, but he does end up in third place on the soft tyres. As we mentioned, he is battling at the moment though with Frankie 1811 with an opportunity to move one step further up, but he'll be happy jumping up 4 places on just a couple of corners at the moment. It looks like he's got the slipstream ending into a quick right turn as well. Got the inside line. He's going to keep the inside line and just lose out on the position there to Frankie 1811, who will maintain second place as it stands at the moment. We've got a yellow flag reaching towards the end of Sector 1. We stay on board at the moment with VSM Sandman. Takes the quick left right here and manages to gain that position on Frankie 1811, showing why he is a 3-time world champion. Continuing into Sector 2, just behind AMS Jonesy at the moment, then nearly 2 seconds behind him. So he's managed to gain himself about 5 positions, and now the race is on for him to catch up with AMS Jonesy, his competitor from last season. However, Danger David went the opposite direction, has fallen down into 10th place, just behind his teammate D Perez. We've got a yellow flag just as I move away from it all. Frankie has a bit of a fall down into 8th place. It looked like that might have been where the yellow flag came from, but it means the Mercedes are currently 3rd and 4th with RS0121 and Quincy, and the Mercedes, the McLaren of Dino Sabo moves up into 5th place. There it is. Huge crash there for D Perez and Martin Hunt, both out of the race. We've got a virtual safety car at the moment. Skin, I'll let you tell us all about that in a second, because I know there's quite a few more cars that have been caught up in this chaos at the moment and been left a little bit further behind from the others. We said it at the end of the sprint race that in this track, with it being as closed in as it is, one car crashes, it causes a domino effect, and it's seen the departure of F1 Martin Hunt and D Perez in the first lap. Lo and behold, here is a safety car.
I was just behind that incident because I was watching that group as it happened, and it was on a straight, and it looked like to me the Alpine steered right into D Perez and sent them both into a wall. So yeah, it didn't look good, that one, from the Alpine's perspective.
We're going to see a couple go into the pits now. Peter Caspi is one of those. Formula 1 Fara is another, and Cerebo. So the back three of the grid all going into the pits on the medium and hard tyres respectively. Just going to wait and see what they come back out on. And I think Peter Caspi's had to get his front wing changed and take a time penalty as well. I think he caused the collision, is what the what race control were saying. So we'll look towards the top of the grid whilst the safety car is out then, because this time around the safety car has grabbed the race leader and has done it by the laws of the league, which means AMS Jonesy stays in first place, VSM Sandman is in second. So a great start for the reigning champion at the moment, up into second place, and with this safety car gets a fair shot at first, doesn't he?
Yeah, it definitely plays into the advantage, but we'll see when it goes in. I'm just looking up and down the grid. Danger David's got back up to 6th. The grid kind of looks like what you'd expect at this point, so should be quite an open race once safety car decides to leave the track.
Well, I expect it to be a couple of laps before he does so. We've got the back three of the grid at the moment have all been in for the pits. That's Peter Caspi, Sir Ibo and Formula 1 Fara in the Aston Martin, the Haas and the Williams respectively. Puts them in a very good position, because we've been in these before, haven't we, where we've pitted when there's been an early safety car into either the medium or the hard tyres and you know, tried to see it through. And I love this view. Every time that we get to this corner and the camera pans to this and you can just see all the casinos in the background. Vegas is such a wonderful place. And to think they've closed the strip for the case of a race.
I was just about to say, is that the point where they come onto the strip straight, yeah?
Yeah, where they go onto the strip straight. I just think Vegas was a wonderful place anyway, but I like any sort of views that you can get where it's all bright lights in the middle of a night-time view, so I like that sort of thing. Night races, definitely up there is one of my favourites.
Yeah, I agree with you. The right setting, but certainly somewhere like Vegas, it definitely wouldn't be the same if it was a day race, would it?
No, absolutely not. We have now seen Quincy go into the pit, so Quincy is headed into the pits and he's going to come out on the hard tyres, so decided to wait behind the safety car for a full lap before doing that. Interesting strategy. Normally you'd just go straight in, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think so. What would you do?
I'd normally go straight in. I haven't seen anything in the case of the last lap which would suggest that he's maybe picked up a bit bit of damage onto the car that's forced him to go and pit. His teammates up in third place at the moment. I think they've split the strategies there. One's on medium tyres, one's on hard. I think they both started on medium as well. So I think at some point, if our RS0121, because the thing is behind the safety car is you can hold your tyres a little bit, can't you? You can prolong the lifespan a little bit more, and you can maybe make them last that little bit longer. That it could change a hard to a medium to being a hard to a soft. So the likes of Racing Wheel, who haven't yet pitted, still on the hard tyres, could maybe go that little longer now, knowing that he's managed to maintain them tyres for a little bit longer, and then jump onto the soft tyres and gain a real advantage from this, because you got to remember that now the cars behind him are all on similar in the medium in Skid Solo and Peter Caspi, or on the same tyres in the hard tyres, maybe a little bit colder than his are. So you've got a real advantage at this point if you can try and keep up with some of them cars ahead of you, talking this time about Truckster, T-Brand, Maverick. Then there's no reason why you can't take that advantage when it comes to your pit window.
Well, Sandman's on softs at the minute, and everyone else in the top 7 is on medium, so I'm not sure what kind of advantage that'll give him going into the race shortly.
I think it's going to be a case of if he can get past Johnsy at the top, I think with it being just a straight field to go at, the straight track in front of him, he's got to be the favourite to go ahead and win this race. But he's got to get past AMS Johnsy, and he's somebody that before qualifying we wouldn't have really had up there battling with them, would we? We've seen RS0121 last season, we've seen what he can do. We saw Toxic towards the back end of last season as well. Danger David and Sandman, of course, in the championship battle. We've seen some of these drivers have excellent races, but Johnsy's like a new one, isn't he? So we've not really had that opportunity to see what they can do. As now, the final lap, I assume, before the safety car decides to go in, T-Bran and Trugster have both pitted, and I feel that might have something to do with their time penalties for colliding with each other. They've opted to pit now, serve the time penalties, and still try and get out whilst they can. So, interesting strategy, probably the right one to go for, in my opinion, if you're going to get a time penalty. It's weird that a time penalty can be served in the pit lane, but a drive-through penalty cannot under the safety car.
Is it just me, or does it feel like safety cars are out quite a bit longer in this one?
I think the track's longer, isn't it? I think it's a longer track. You're looking around a minute and a half for a quick lap around Las Vegas, so it might just be the case of it lasts longer, or it feels longer, because of how long the track is. I mean, they've only just about to start Sector 2 at the moment, and it feels like forever ago that I mentioned that T-Brand and Trugster had both gone into the pits. So, who knows? Looking at the grid then, all on 3 laps from the top 10, the bottom half of the grid now I think have all pitted. So it's certainly going to be interesting to see where that split does find itself, because now there's only 2 cars still out there on soft tyres, and that is Maverick and Sandman. Could you see Maverick maybe gaining the same sort of advantage that Sandman is? Obviously he's taken a couple of risks straight away to gain positions and done it very well, and it's been successful for him. Do you think Maverick could or should try a similar sort of strategy of, trying to be a bit more aggressive into these corners whilst you've got the softer tyres and try and push a little bit more?
If it works for the person that's won 3 championships in a row, then it should work for anyone.
There you go. Maverick, if you're listening to us, stick out on soft tyres and we'll tell you when Sandman goes into the pits. There we go. Hopefully that doesn't count as match fixing, but we'll see. The safety car is heading in as we enter onto the pit straight. We are currently on board with Sandman. I expect this to be a very interesting restart after the safety car has headed in. It is AMS Jonzu that is the time setter, the pace setter, if you will, and he will get us back underway once the safety car is parked up and sorted, as we enter now onto the straight where the stop-start line is. And we are back underway with AMS Johnsy in first place, going up into the first corner, defending very well on VSM Sandman. VSM Sandman's forced out wide, as we've seen the departure now of Martin Hunt, who left the race a little bit earlier on. He's now left the session as well. Sandman just behind Johnsy as well, beginning to make a bit of a gap behind him to the Sabo, as the 2 front runners continue to put the pressure on each other. Another couple of laps laps before we start to see the safety cars. We now see Quincy and Peter Caspi with 5-second time penalties towards the back of the grid, and Siribo falls down into 16th place. We're still on board with Sandman as we go in towards Sector 2. That gap between second and third place is just getting bigger and bigger, but so is the gap between first and second. So Sandman, neither of these have pitted, by the way, so it is the faster tyres that you'd expect to see from second place of BSM Sandman. I don't think we've really seen any overtakes apart from Peter Caspi taking Siribo since the restart of the safety car. We are now on lap 5 of the Las Vegas Grand Prix, and the time in that one lap in nearly 2 sectors has gone up to a 2-second advantage. Are we looking at a new contender to battle with VSM Sandman?
I mean, the fact that he stormed off by 2 seconds straight away suggests that that's going to be the case, but yeah, should make for an interesting season if he's going to dominate the way Sandman has been doing while we've been watching.
There we go. I hope we do get to see excitement in a three-driver race, if not more, as AMS Johnsy goes and sets a 1:36.4. That is the fastest lap, and that would get him the extra championship points at the end of this as well. Danger David now down in 6th place, and Sandman now just over 2 seconds behind first. Looking further down the track at the moment as we see a battle here. It looks like Former One Farah has come off, and he has. He's spun off ever so slightly. He's going to rejoin in 15th place. He's going to rejoin safely as well. It's allowed numerous cars to move up a position and gives the advantage over to Trugster, as we can see a bit of a battle going on for 6th place at the moment, and that is between Toxic and Frankie. At the moment, Frankie 1811 does hold the position of 6th, but it is the pressure of Toxic that he's putting on as well to try and take that position back. Both of these drivers had quite a good battle last season as well, if I remember rightly. It was the AlphaTauri that was battling with, I want to say, Alpine up in for 3rd place at one point. I think Aston Martin was in and around there as well. So some good middle of the pack, if not best of the rest battles from teams that you maybe wouldn't expect to see it from. But one that we could say is looking a little bit more up there this season is the Haas, as the Aston Martins of Skid Solo and Peter Caspi sit 13th and 14th as they swap places with each other on track as well. Skin, your thoughts on the first 2 laps since the restart?
Nothing's really happened. There's been that battle, like you said, for 6, which I'm just focusing on at the moment, but there's not really been too much happening. David's gone up to 4th. I don't know, I suppose it's tough, and it's a brand new game. We've spoken about the handling. It's not great, it's a bit all over the place, it's glitchy, but also it's a brand new track that nobody's seen before. Like, we've not even seen it raced in real life yet, so there's a bit of a spin by Toxic there. There's going to be varying degrees of experience on this track. Some people would have absolutely leathered it knowing it's new. Some people would have practiced it a lot once they found out it was the first race of the season. Some people are probably driving it for the first time, so it's a bit of a different element and approach because it's a track that no one's ever seen before.
Well, Danger David is currently in 4th place, and he's putting the pressure here on the Nosebo to try and get himself up into a podium position. And Frankie receives a time penalty for multiple warnings, something that I'm pretty sure you're familiar with, overcutting corners as well. But like you say, with the track, it is new. Nobody's raced on it. We've not seen cars race on it, as Danger David goes onto the outside there and smoothly goes past the Nosebo and continues to push forward in his bid to try and get closer to Sandman. Now it is 5.5 seconds that separates him from the Ferrari in 2nd place. He's nearly 3 seconds between AMS Johnsy, as well as there is a yellow flag towards the back end of the track, the back end of the grid, should I say, and the front end of Sector 2. Danger David now holds 3rd place quite comfortably. You may have missed it, but about a lap ago, DRS was enabled, so hopefully we'll get to see much more overtaking opportunities throughout the course of this race. Frankie in 5th place, and now he's starting to knock on the door of getting past the Nosebo in the McLaren as well, as they go past onto the pit straight, past the start-stop line. And there we go, onto the inside. Nicely done by Frankie 1811. It's forced the Nosebo onto the outside, and he's managed to move up into 4th place as well. And he's followed Danger David down, and the McLaren just seems to be going backwards at the moment as RS0121 has pitted in the the Mercedes, and that's took him straight to the back in 16th place. And he pits in for the hard tyres, so hoping that that'll last him through to the end of the races. There goes the McLaren of the Nosebo. He's been struggling ever so slightly, and he's now fallen down into 9th place. He's spun on turn 3, heading towards the back end of sector 1. It's fallen him down to 10th place at the moment as we've got another safety car out.
Yep, he probably spun, mate, because Toxic went flying straight into the back of him and sent him into the wall, so that'll explain that one.
Be interesting to hear what goes on there as Toxic keeps 5th place, and it forces the McLaren of the Nosebo, who was struggling ever so slightly with Danger David and Frankie 1811 up till that point. It's forced him off track, forced him down into 10th place, and we are back with another safety car. So we start to get deja vu from what happened back in Baku just about 4 weeks ago, I think it was, and the penultimate race of season 10, where we had 7 safety cars during the course of that race. But now Danger David is close to VSM Sandman. You tell me, you're in a good position. You're in Johns' position, or you're in Danger David's at the moment. You know you've got the speed and the confidence behind you in your car. You're on medium tyres. Are you pitting at this point? I can tell you Johns just has, but are you pitting at this point?
Yep. Are you?
Yeah, I think I have to. I think you have to take this opportunity. Yeah, all 3 of them are Johnsy, Sandman and Danger David. So be interested to see how many stay out. Frankie 1811's gone in as well. Truckster's moved up therefore into 3rd place. But this could actually make it very interesting for the cars that were towards the back of the grid as well. So AMS Johnsy has boxed and come out in 1st place at the moment. And I were thinking that there might have been quite a few more cars towards the back that had pitted under the last safety car that could actually have got close to them. But at the moment, this is advantage to Johnsy. He's pitted, he's come out on the quicker tyres, and he's maintained track position. Considering Sandman went in as well, it's kind of expected that he wouldn't have gained a position on him. Danger David's fallen down to 5th, Sandman's fallen down to 3rd. There is now at least 1 car separating each of those drivers. Danger David's gone on to the hard, Sandman's gone on to the medium. Can you maybe see a reason, an argument for medium maybe lasting these last 16 laps, thinking about the safety car being out here for the next 2 or 3 especially?
Yeah, that I think you mentioned it earlier, didn't you, about it playing into helping you maintain tyres longer. So yeah, I think anyone that's managed to get on mediums now, it should play into their advantage. Sandman's gone on to mediums, so you would have thought it should see out the race on that. So soft on to mediums is a pretty good strategy.
Well, Truckster does have a time penalty at the moment, and he's currently sat in 2nd place, and I don't believe he's actually pitted yet. He has pitted, sorry. I think that's everybody now pitted except for Racing Wheel and Skid Solo. If I'm right, it is correct, yes. Racing Wheel and Skid Solo, the only 2 that haven't pitted. Quincy and Peter Caspi have pitted twice, and it is AMS Johnsy that holds top step on the podium as it is at the moment. We will be doing post-race interviews. I say we. I'll be doing post-race interviews after this with the top 3, which at the moment is Johnsy, Truckster and Sandman. So it'd be interesting to hear some of the opinions of drivers that we don't really get to hear throughout the race, isn't it? I mean, we've always been cussing at each other during a race, haven't we, about decision making. But I imagine in an online league where it's a lot more competitive than our little friendly battles, there's more words to be said, isn't there?
I think friendly is a bit generous there, considering the amount of arguments that we've had on about what's happened in races. So yeah, I think you're underselling it there a bit.
We've never left the league though. We've always stuck by it, and we've as much as we've disagreed with the outcomes, we've just got on with it.
That's usually because we don't get on enough to finish it, so we don't have to leave it. To be fair.
2-time, was it 3-time world champion for you last year? 2 for me?
Just 2, mate. Just 2, yeah. I think it was 2 for me and 2 for you, and Gaz didn't win one. So yeah, that's shocking by our standards. That says everything about how much we played or didn't play it last year.
I feel like they managed 10 seasons last season on this. We've managed 5.
Yeah.
And we play it. We didn't even finish the fifth, did we?
No,
Of
yeah,
course,
not
Gaz
even,
didn't
it
win
was
one.
like
So
4.5 really.
he was doing well at the time. Right, so safety car on lap 10. As it stands then, reading back to front, Martin Hunt and D. Perez went out on lap 1. Skid Solo in 16th place, having pitted just a moment ago in the Aston Martin. Quincy in 15th place, Peter Caspi in 14th. We've got Dino Sabo in McLaren in 13th place. Formula 1 Farah in 12th, RS 0121 in 11th, Frankie 1811 in 10th, Toxic CZ10 in 9th, Maverick 09 in 8th, Racing Wheel 027 in the Alpine in 7th place, Ibo in 6th, Danger David in 5th place, T-Bran 1 in 4th, VSM Sandman in 3rd, Truckster in 2nd, and AMS Johnsy in 1st. So, Racing Wheel hasn't yet pitted. He's the only one not to. He did come out on hard tyres. He's not going to keep track position, I imagine, from too many of these cars, and when it comes to his time to pit, might just be giving away a good points opportunity. What are you thinking if you're in his position at the moment?
I'm more concerned about what's going on with Skid Solo tonight, to be fair. The couple of races that we've seen have been relatively competitive, but hasn't really been involved. Quincy's not having the best race, and I do think a lot of it, I wouldn't read too much into this race as a whole, because again, it's a brand new game, and 2, it's a brand new track. So, you know, come the end of the season in so many weeks' time, oh my God, what is happening on this track? Everyone's backed up. Come the end of the season, how this looks now and how it looks in terms of who looks more comfortable and who might be a leader, who might be towards the back of the grid, could be completely different, especially as we get into the tracks which people are much more familiar with. But yeah, just see, I don't know how much of this is the game being a little bit broken, how much of it is a brand new track, how much of it is a brand new game, or if there's a pretty even split across the three. But you know, we commentated on the Baku race and it was very stop-start with the safety cars, which is understandable considering the type of track it is, but this just seems like, oh, and RS is out of the race. I was following them.
Oh, we've got another safety car.
Yeah, I was following RS, so I managed to catch that and just drifted straight into the wall. So yeah, we spoke about Baku. It still seemed like quite an entertaining race, despite the amount of safety cars. But this just, like I said, don't know if it's because it's a brand new game, brand new track. It's a bit buggy still. You know, a combination of all of that. But yeah, there doesn't really seem to have been any momentum whatsoever when it comes to actual racing. So I don't know what your thoughts are. I know you haven't managed to drive the track yet. We haven't been online yet, really, other than sort of, I think, one race. So yeah, hopefully over the next few weeks it will improve, and again, especially as we're getting to tracks that people are more familiar with. But it's up there with an
I've seen enough of this
race.
track. I've seen enough of this track to know that I don't want to race it.
Yeah.
It's just the walls are too enclosed. I mean, I like Singapore, and I know that's quite an enclosed race as well. You don't get much track width, and you don't get many opportunities to overtake, if any at all, unless somebody runs wide. So I like that sort of race, and I thought I'd probably like this one. But at the moment, it just seems like anywhere you turn, there's a wall. And that's a bit more of a worrying factor. And I think when you're coming out of these pits, I know you don't like it when it spits you out of the pits, doesn't it? So this is going to be another one of those where you do that and you're straight into the wall. So there we go. But Racing Wheel has now boxed. He's gone on to medium tyres. T-Brand is reverted back to medium tyres. And Quincy is boxing as well from the medium tyres. But he's got a 5-second time penalty as well. We are on board at the moment with Maverick, but we'll move further up the grid because we saw Danger David has moved up into 4th place in the Red Bull. I think that was due to the decision to pit from one of the other drivers. I want to say that was from T-Bran 1. Skid Solo, like you say, he's had a bit of a slow race so far, getting back into the rhythm of things, hasn't he? From the back end of last season, we saw quite a bit of promise from him and thought, you know what, this is going to be an interesting battle with the Aston Martins, but they're currently sat in 11th and 12th place, and not looking at strong points at all. But with regards to another safety car coming out, are any of these cars on hard tyres, maybe Suribo or Danger David, are you thinking like maybe you've moved from medium onto hard? Is this now a good opportunity to maybe move back onto mediums? They could do your 13 laps. You could maybe see it through to the end.
I don't know. at this point, if I've already changed my tyres, I would stick out there even if it's a slower tyre, because, like you said earlier, it's a tight track. Every corner you seem to go around. There's a wall there waiting for you. So I think the worst thing you can do now is try and get on a faster tyre, put yourself further down the grid, give yourself more obstacles to try and overcome. So if you're further up the grid, just take that over the tyre risk personally.
And with regards to, we mentioned before, Ferrari having a bit of a disadvantage because their teammate wasn't here for the race today. We've got Danger David, who had D. Perez. He's now out of the race, obviously won't be getting any points as well. You look at the cars that are battling in around there, it is literally just Haas at the moment, isn't it? Cerebro and AMS Jonesy that are going to be getting strong points. Frankie and Trugster, they're going to be getting some, but that's only because Trugster was in 4th place, but he's now boxed. So as it stands, your top 3 are Jonesy, Sandman, and Danger David, and they're the 3 that, based upon qualifying and history, you'd probably say the 3 that you'd have as the favourites for the championship, wouldn't you?
I think based on this, yeah, it makes Sandman and Danger David carrying on the fine form, and this AMS Jonesy coming in, and I'm sure he's piqued both of their interests so far in this race, and I'm looking forward to when the safety car decides to disappear either in this race or throughout the next few weeks to see what really can be done between the 3 of them, as well as everyone else who in the couple of weeks we've been watching have put in some fine efforts.
It's interesting that all 3 of them are on different tyres. So you've got Jonesy on the soft, Sandman on the medium, Danger David on the hard. So you've got 3 different strategies there, and you'd have to make Jonesy the favourite. Yeah, he's in 1st place and he's on the quicker tyre, but could you see them soft tyres lasting him another 12 laps?
I think you're going to have to take him a little bit careful, aren't you, toward the end?
You're going to need to get a big advantage from the release from this safety car. I mean, he'll be the pace setter when the safety car does go in, but another safety car could very much ruin his race for him. So, and from what we've seen so far, the safety car's been out there more times than it hasn't. So it speaks for itself, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we need to see some racing, don't we? It's not really got going so far. I don't know what you think, but I feel like other than a couple of little bits, we've not really seen any actual racing in this race so far, and we're now halfway through it.
Yeah, content is very difficult to come by when the safety car is spending about 8 out of 13 laps out there, so it's difficult to keep things going. I'm hoping that it comes up now from race control telling us that safety car is going to be heading in. It hasn't yet. I'm hoping it does any moment now, and we'll wait and see just where things go from there. Trugster dig box onto the soft tyres, and here we go. The race control symbol has come up, which means the safety car is heading in this lap. So we've got a bit of a distance now to allow the safety car to head in, and it is AMS Jonesy, like I've mentioned, will be the pace setter as we head onto the pit straight. All cars now bunched up together, and an equal opportunity for many of these. Some lunges perhaps into the first corner. Hopefully nothing that would result in yet another safety car. And here we go onto the stop-start line as we see AMS Jonesy set the pace, and he's gone round the first corner quite nice. He's been followed quickly by Sandman and Danger David. I think there's been some overtakes towards the back side of the grid, but Cerebro goes a little bit wide, and Toxic's battling on with him there in 4th and 5th place. Toxic finally grabs 4th place off of him though. Danger David still sat up in 3rd place, losing a bit of distance to Sandman and to Jonesy. Of course, no DRS at the moment as the cars have just continued back from a safety car, so I think it'll be another couple of laps before DRS is enabled. I think it's 3 laps, isn't it, from a safety car before they allow DRS to go, as I think Cerebro has spun off completely. He struggled in the first couple of corners since the safety car headed in. He's now fallen to the back of the grid. Skin, I'll ask you about that in just a moment if you see, or did you see anything, as we continue on board with Sandman, who's putting the pressure on to Jonesy, currently the leader of the Las Vegas Grand Prix. In his debut in the All-Assist Soft League, is currently leading and has led throughout the entirety of this race. Trugster moves himself up into 11th place in the meantime in the AlphaTauri, having pitted for soft tyres, so that might just be working to his advantage, as now the distance is just over a second between Jonesy and Sandman. Things start to calm down ever so slightly at the front. Danger David now goes to 2.5 seconds behind the Ferrari, and a little bit further behind that, 3.5 seconds behind AMS Jonesy. So did you see anything from Cerebro's incident?
I didn't, unfortunately. Just seemed like dropped down the grid, and like you said, just now in last place. But yeah. Oh, Well, I'm just on board with Quincy and very, very close there to another incident. Some overtaking now as Petra Caspi drops down a couple of positions. So yeah, there's a little bit of action towards the back of the grid, but
we've got a little bit of action up towards here as well on the first corner as Frankie goes wide, heading into the first corner. He went a little bit wide to begin with, but then went off track. It allowed Maverick, Formula One Fara, the No Saber, and T-Brand, to make the way past him. He's now fallen down into 9th place. Still a good little battle going on between the two McLarens, the Williams and the Alfa Romeo, as well as the Nocebo moves down into 8th place. T-Brand manages to gain that position, and Formula One Fara manages to gain a position on Maverick as well. So the corner's lost 2 positions, 1 for each of the 2 McLarens, as well as we reach towards nearly 4 seconds now, the distance between Danger David and Sandman. So the tyres are definitely proven a point after just 1 lap, nearly 4 seconds difference, and Sandman now nearly 2 seconds behind Johnsy as well. So we could have a very new competitor for this World Championship as well, which is always nice to see.
I think that's what's going to happen, but by the looks of some of the racing towards the middle of the grid, I think we're going to have another safety car by the end of this lap, maybe the next one. A lot of people getting very close, and not only to other drivers but to the wall as well. But I mean, yeah, it seems to have finally picked up. Obviously, drivers now with strategies in mind are trying to really push onto the grid. The top 3 is what we expected. But I say that other than Johnsy, a brand new racer to the league, has taken over. We've seen how much Sandman's dominated coming out of safety cars. After a lap and a half, 2 laps, whatever it is, he's 2 seconds behind the person in first. So I'd love to know what Johnsy's experience is on these kind of games and what success, if any, he's had in other online leagues, because it seems like he's going to be a real threat and a great addition to the league.
Well, we'll hopefully find out if he remains in the top 3 at the end of this race, and we'll speak to him on the podium steps afterwards, as well. As I saw T-Brand and Maverick having a nice little battle back and forth, but T-Brand does manage to now claim 6th place and keep it as his own, with Maverick having to heel down into 7th place, coming up into quick left right there and into sector 2. Maverick's got a time penalty as well for multiple warnings of, I believe, corner cutting. So that's going to cost him a little bit. I think 3 seconds is the time penalty there for him. Moves him down at the moment to 9th place from what he is currently sat in 7th. So T-Brand, as it stands, manages to claim that 6th place, and we're starting to see a bit more of a distance between multiple of these cars at the moment. I think the closest battle we've got going on is the battle for 7th place, which is currently occupied by Maverick. You've got the No Sabo, and then Frankie 18-11 just behind him as well. I think not too far behind there as well is Quincy, currently 2.5 seconds behind. But if this is going to be one of those battles, it's going to be a case of Quincy has every opportunity to catch them as Frankie goes past Maverick, and he's now sat behind just the No Sabo, as Maverick lost 2 positions on that straight there as well.
Some great driving there.
It was very nice from both Frankie and the No Sabo, as Racing Wheel loses position to Peter Caspi, as we stay on board with the No Sabo going along the pit straight. The fastest lap was set by Johnsy, by the way, on the first lap out from the safety car, as you kind of expected. I think it was 1 minute 35 that he set as the quickest time, which will get him the extra point come the end of the race if he can maintain that. But the distance between him and Sandman is now 4 seconds, and Danger David is now 5.5 seconds behind Sandman. So I think he's trying to... We've got an incident there, and it is T-Brand that is out of the race, and the safety car is back. He's spun around quite badly and gone straight into the wall there, hasn't he? So he's lost I think he's lost the entire front wing and tyres on that as well. Now's the opportunity, I guess, if Johnsy wants it, to pit from them soft tyres. Otherwise, he's going to have to try and make them last another 8 laps, and 16 laps on soft tyres might be a little bit risky.
Yeah, it's... no discredit to his driving ability, but that could potentially cost him, because another 5, 6, 7, 8 laps, couple under the safety cars is going to be tough. Unfortunately, we can't actually see what condition the tyres are under, but if we have a look, tyres 8 laps on soft, surely he's not making another 8 laps. Looks like he's pitting, so where does that drop him? Everyone below him is on medium and hards, which you would assume would be enough to get him through the rest of the race. Do you think that's going to cost him?
Well, he's currently lost first place to Sandman, and I think Danger David's going to grab the position off him as well as he just switches on to... I think he's stayed on soft tyres. He has stayed on soft tyres, yeah. As Toxic's gone through, as Danger David's actually boxed. He's pitted for medium tyres, so that could be costly for him as well. As Toxic goes through into second place, Johnsy remains on soft tyres, but they are new, fresher soft tyres, so when he gets some heat in those, it could be a battle back on between him, Toxic and Sandman. I think Sandman's really got to try and utilise the fact that Toxic's behind him. Hope Toxic can hold Johnsy up a little bit, try and give him a bit more leeway to push on with, because now Johnsy's got two people to get by, and we've seen in the past Toxic isn't easy to get past. So it all depends on this restart for me as to whether Johnsy can still walk away with the top step of the podium, or whether he's left to rue this decision to pit. I can tell you the other person that has pitted is Danger David. He has come out in 7th place on medium tyres. So I think, who do you think's in the position here to have lost more? Do you think it's Johnsy, who is now in 3rd place on fresh softs, or do you think it's Danger David, who's fallen down to 7th? Nice one. I'll just carry on then. Well, we're on lap 18 of 25 at the moment.
Hello.
With the 3rd safety car. Yes, I can hear you now, mate.
Sorry,
I can hear
mate,
you now.
I think I caught a button by accident. I don't know what happened then whatsoever, but yeah, another set. I said, didn't I? I said, this lap or next one, we're going to have another safety car with how close people will get in.
You did. You called it. And at the moment, Danger David's down in 7th place on fresh tyres, on medium tyres. Johnsy's up in 3rd place on fresh soft tyres. You've got a couple of cars behind, Quincy, Formula 1 Farah and Trugster, all boxed for fresh soft tyres. Now, how much of a threat do you think those three are going to be towards the front runners? Because older, slower tyres, that pit for softer tyres could actually be quite a genius call.
Yeah. Done very well to get back into 3rd place, to be fair. I thought it'd be dropping quite a bit further down the grid, so playing right into his hands now with hards and mediums in front. I did think going into the pits it was going to cost the race, but now I think it's back. I think it's back to being the favourite.
Do you think it was a risk from Danger David not to go on softs?
Potentially, but I suppose, yeah, I suppose, grand scheme of things, with how many laps are left, safety car's going to be out for another lap or two. You'd probably say so. Currently in 7th, you want to give yourself the best chance of getting to a podium, but look, the calibre of driver that Danger David is, we've seen it enough in the 2 races we've watched so far. Don't think he has to worry too much. It's more about staying out of trouble, I think, based on what we've seen so far.
Yeah, and I think the chaos that's actually taken place so far in this race puts us on lap 19 of 25, and the fact that we're behind our 3rd safety car. So I think we've had a bit more success of racing, it feels, than we did at Baku, actually. We've had fewer safety cars, but I don't feel we've had quite as much racing.
We haven't.
It's weird, that. It's weird, though. It's weird that we haven't had as much racing. We've even had a sprint race in that as well. So yeah, we've got multiple cars down on soft tyres just outside of the top 10 in Quincy, Formula 1 Farah and Trugster, all on soft tyres. I'd expect maybe at the end of the first, if not the second lap, the fastest lap to be beaten by Johnsy. It's a 1:35.5. That's nearly a second quicker, if not 2 seconds quicker than most of the cars that are still out there at the moment. I think the only one that's even within that second is VSM Sandman, and he's still half a second behind him at that. So it speaks volumes of just how quick Johnsy is at the moment and the sort of speed that he's picking up. We hear a lot in these Discord chats, don't we, about the drivers and the different leagues that they're taking part in. So maybe the practice has come through for him, and maybe this is an opportunity to go on and win the championship, as we are rejoined by Martin Hunt, who left the race, unfortunately, on lap 1 in a collision with D. Perez. I've seen quite a few things on the Discord about that incident.
Based on what I see, mate, I was lucky enough to catch it. Looked like he swerved right into D. Perez on a straight, so just based on that alone, I don't know, I feel like I know who's at fault for that one.
You're talking Gary Marsden circa France 2021.
I'm talking exactly that, mate. Yeah, an unnecessary swerve right on a perfectly straight, so
There we go. We are back underway as the safety car goes in, coming up to the first corner, and Johnsy gets past Toxic almost as if he's not there. I think Toxic may have caught the back end of Johnsy as well, going back to try and overtake him. He's going to try on the inside line this time, though, to keep the position of second, and he's managed to do so. The hard tyre is holding up for him at the moment. He holds in second place. Sandman does push himself further on as there's a bit more pressure now from Johnsy. Goes up the side of him, manages to take second place back, heading into the right-hand corner this time, and Toxic just loses a bit of the ground there, and it is Johnsy now in second place, and he's made that his own from the restart from the safety car. We've got the No Sabo now up into fourth place. Danger David does hold sixth place as it stands at the moment, and we've still got Sandman out in the lead. We'll just have a look at what the interval is at the moment, and Johnsy is now within a second of BSM Sandman on the fresher, quicker, softer tyres. So we've got in second place in putting the pressure on as we head in towards sector 2. I think Johnsy's got a lot of pace here that Sandman's just going to be wondering about, hasn't he? He's got to defend like phenomenally for the next 5 laps to make sure that he's keeping this position, even more so in a couple of laps time when DRS is brought back, as we've got a yellow flag towards the back of the track again, and I think this is Sir Ibo that's been caught up in it, as we've got purple sector 2 from Johnsy. He's gone up on the inside of Sandman going into the left hand corner. Sandman just holds position in that corner as well, and he's managed to defend it very nicely. This defence has been done very nicely by Sandman, but it's how long it's going to be able to hold for, as Johnsy's gone just close to him as well. It's very close how he's going up the backside of Sandman as we finish the first lap. And no quickest lap has been taken from either of these, as there goes Johnsy on the inside. It's forced Sandman wide onto the turn 2. The long left-hand turn, and it's Johnsy that's taken first position from Sandman there. And now it's just how far the Haas can go to keep ahead of him. DRS is not yet enabled, which means despite being within a second, Sandman needs to use all the battery power, the ERS that he's got, to be able to keep tabs on Johnsy at the moment. We have got yellow flag on the on turn 1 at the moment, so we'll go over to that in a moment. I think that one's Trugster that's ended up falling back ever so slightly, but now Johnsy has got himself outside of DRS of Sandman, and it looks like first place is his own, so barring any issues, he needs to push on to make sure he's taking top step of the podium. Sandman will try and get as close as he can throughout this, as well as I think Trugster has just retired from the race as well. Which means Skid Solo in
drive by Johnsy, by the way. I know we're talking, but in 2 weeks we've seen Sandman absolutely dominate this league, through a variety of factors. But I mean, it was what, 3 laps ago, where we thought, oh, this is going to cost him pitting again, and he's just gone past Sandman like he was absolutely nothing.
Yeah, Sandman did well to defend for the first couple of corners, I think. And then it just became too much for him.
The result of this race has got the potential to blow this league right open, and it's only race 1, so
hopefully we do get to see a lot more racing like this. Danger David has managed to get himself back up into 3rd place, and what's interesting here is he's on the same tyres now as Sandman, just 9 laps younger, which means he's got every chance to get himself into 2nd place, and Sandman could be finishing race 1 3rd place, and I don't think he's actually been 3rd place in a championship standings before, so this could be an interesting way to look at it. I think throughout last season the lowest he actually finished a race was down in 5th place, but we've still got 3 laps left to go, and the distance at the moment, the difference between the two is 3 seconds between Danger David and Sandman, and he's got Toxic just behind him now by a second and a half. Has managed to push himself further on. Frankie 1811 moves up into 5th place just ahead of Maverick, and Quincy manages to get past Racing Wheel 027, so the Mercedes do look like they're going to be getting some points in the end anyway, despite RS0121 not being in this race. That distance between Danger David and Sandman is now closer than the distance between Sandman and Johnsy, so it does make, we hope, will be an interesting race, or an interesting end to the race, should we say, with only 3 laps left to go. Touchwood, there's no more safety cars, and we get to see nice driving towards the end of the race, as it's now 3 seconds, and we are almost saying Danger David's closer to Sandman than he is to Toxic, and I think we're about at that point now. Just 4/10 separates the distance Danger David's got, as we've got a yellow flag out in sector 2, and I think that's Skid Solo, who has struggled throughout this race. He's down in 13th place at the moment on the hard tyres. Yeah, swapped for under safety car 2. So we can refer back to incidents by just naming the safety car that came out. That's how how entertaining this race has been, shall I say, or impact this racing's had. As Danger David is now closer to Sandman than he is to Toxic. Just looking down the track, there aren't too many cars that close to each other. I think the closest we've got is Sir Ibo, closing the gap on former One Fara for 11th place. The battle for 11th place is the closest we've got, and that's getting closer from Quincy, who is just behind Maverick. We'll go to that battle instead, the battle for 6th place. As I think we're set for any moment now. I think it's the end of this lap that DRS will be opened for the sake of the last 2 laps of the race, as we are on lap 23 of 25 here in Las Vegas. It's been an interesting race, to say the least. There were a lot of question marks raised when the decision to have the first race was in Vegas. Your thoughts on how it's gone, Skid? Is it pretty much how you expected it to be?
Yeah, I've said it throughout. New game, new track, buggy. You're not used to it, and I think that's just played into exactly what's happened. But again, I know I mentioned it, but I'd like to get your thoughts as Quincy goes quite wide there. Maverick has got a time penalty for corner cutting there, which I don't think he was to blame for. Quincy was coming up right behind him as they ran out of track, but Johnsy 6 seconds ahead of Sandman, who has been dominant. What are your thoughts?
Crazy, isn't it? We've seen this dominance from Sandman, and Johnsy's not only got that distance now, he's setting fastest lap after fastest lap, and we're just 2 laps away from the end of the race.
Previous fastest lap.
There you go, and that says everything. And I don't know if this is so much like a Johnsy thing as it is a Sandman thing, because we've spoken about how Johnsy is now 7 seconds ahead of Sandman, and that's incredible racing, and there's got to be a lot of credit there as well. And one of the first questions I'm going to be asking Sandman is, at the end of last season, he asked for competition. Is this the competition that he wanted? So it could be interesting, as Danger David is now within DRS of Sandman. So I think it's just not been one of those races for Sandman, but I think we could be looking at a very strong 3-horse race. And I think when it comes to the team's points, the Constructors' Championship, you're going to be looking a lot at Di Perez, at Vincenzo and at Sir Ibo as to just how much they can support these 3 drivers in their drivers' championship, as well as the Constructors' Championship. At the moment, Di Perez has got a DNF, Vincenzo got a did not start, and Sir Ibo is in 11th place, so if he does get any points, it'll be very few. So there we go, and he's going to get into the points now because the Nosebo's retired from the race. He's got a DNF as well. So yeah, I think it's going to be an exciting race, and I hope it continues to be an exciting season with these 3 at the forefront of it. As Danger David does open up DRS on Sandman, he's going to be battling here for 2nd place. He's gone up on the inside of him, and he has taken 2nd place, and he's made it his own as he goes into the next left-hand corner. He's managed to get just in front of Sandman to stop any sort of overtaking, and on those tight corners, you're not going to make any risk when you're up in 3rd place, as VSM Sandman is, and I think he's just going to be comfortable taking the bottom step of the podium. So it's interesting. It's a strategy that Danger Dave went for. I said to you, should he have maybe gone for softs? He's gone for the mediums, knowing that it's a similar sort of speed to what Sandman's in. They're just 9 laps younger, and I think that's absolutely nailed it for him. But I think, as much as we do talk about VSM Sandman winning 3 World Championships, he's now got his competition in Danger David. We saw that last season. Like you've already said, we've got to give credit to the current race leader, the guy who looks like on his debut of All Assist Soft League, or the first time at the very least that we've seen him, here in Las Vegas, is set to take the top step of the podium and upset the rhythm, send shockwaves through what has been this All Assist Soft League over the last 10 seasons. We've seen plenty of people trying to compete with Sandman, and Sandman's now got a 3-second time penalty, and I think with it being the last lap of the race, he'll be absolutely fine. It won't take too much of an impact on where he's going to finish. I think he'll remain in 3rd place as we go through Sector 2 on board at the moment with AMS Johnsy. I feel like I know where this is going to go, but as we know he's going to finish the race in 1st place, Skin, I'm going to ask you for your driver of the day.
Has to be Johnsy, mate. Can't be anyone else.
It cannot be Bert Mylander.
No, it's got to be Johnsy, mate. I can't think of anyone else who it should be at this point.
Yeah, I think it's been a dominant race for him, and one that people might not have expected. Some may have already had an idea of what he's done in previous leagues, as he is on the pit straight now, and he is going to cross the line on his debut to take top step of the podium and win for the Haas. It is AMS Jonesy, or Johnsy should I say, sorry, that takes 1st place, followed behind about 7 seconds later by Danger David. VSM Sandman will then take 3rd place. Toxic will make his way round for 4th place. With the penalties, I don't think it's going to make too much of an impact on the likes of Frankie and Maverick as well from their position at the moment. Toxic's just passed the checkered flag as well. I've noticed whenever cars are passing the checkered flag, they're doing a little spin. I think that's part of the game and the mechanics that it's got, as Quincy moves up into 5th place due to the penalty of Frankie, who now falls down into 6th place. Maverick falls down into 8th with this penalty, moving Racing Wheel up into 7th place. Formula 1, Farah moves into 9th place. Skid Solo is under pressure at the moment from Peter Caspi. This race isn't over for these two on the pit straight. If there's DRS available for him, there's a chance that he could try and overtake his teammate, but I think they're just going to settle with Skid Solo in 10th place. They are going to do so. Skid Solo takes 10th place, and his teammate Peter Caspi takes 11th, and Cerebro concludes things in 12th place. So, Skin, thank you very much for joining me. I know you're going to head off because we've had a few technical difficulties when using Discord, but I'm going to jump onto the Discord, and we'll be back on this YouTube channel in just a moment's time to get the final thoughts on the top 3. AMS John Z, Nay Danger David in 2nd place, and VSM Sandman in 3rd place. Skin, thanks very much for joining me.
You're welcome.
Look forward to hearing from.
See you next time.
Yeah, look forward to hearing from you in 2 weeks' time in Qatar. Stay with us, and we'll get post-race reaction and the podium talk in just a moment's time.